Nova Scotia, according to criminal experts, has been a difficult place for bikers to operate in. The Hells Angels are making another stab at it with the Bacchus group. East Coast bikers were patched over on the weekend in New Brunswick. And joining us to talk about it, Alex Kane, former undercover agent, the author of Fat Mexican, a biography on the Bandidos, as well as befriended Betray on earlier biker book, Fabulous Stuff. Alex Kane is a fifth-degree martial artist who infiltrated biker groups and has lived to tell the tale and continues to help law enforcement agencies across the country. Stephen Schneider also joins us. He's a professor of criminology at St. Mary's University and the author of A History of Organized Crime in Canada called Iced. Alex Kane, Stephen Schneider, thank you for joining us.
Hi, no problem.
Good morning.
All right, so the Bacchus group, Alex Kane says they call themselves Bacchus because they'll get too much heat if they wear their Hells Angels patches, so they're flying their flag under different colors. Stephen Schneider, your thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. The Hells Angels have learned over the years to have the puppet clubs do their dirty work, so you're seeing fewer Hells Angels chapters being initiated in Canada and a lot more of the puppet clubs being initiated or recruited to be Hells Angels affiliates. And you're seeing that in British Columbia and now in Atlantic Canada as well.
All right, so how much of criminology is given over to the biker issue in Canada? How much of it is a real problem?
Well, it's an enormous problem, just from the tax perspective, just from the lost revenue, just from the, like, if you go to a car show and make a bid to buy a car, and if they're there, they'll be wearing their colors and bidding against you. What are you going to do? You know, they use their patch as power, which makes them an illegal organization, a criminal group. Larry Pooler from Niagara Falls, and the London area, went to jail because he intimidated somebody, a businessman, for $70,000, and he went in wearing his patch, and the guy paid him off. It's the patch that does it. That's what people are afraid of. And so when it's time to take it off and be a bit more subtle, they can do that too. But the criminal, and they're organized, and they're not a bunch of drunk guys. Like when I was a kid, and I'm sure all of us here, when we were younger, bike guys were just a bunch of guys that like to party and drink and have fun with girls, and just actually they're fun guys. But now it's all money. It's all organization. They have paid analysts. They have people that do the marketing. They have media reps. I mean, they have the money. If they're making $1 billion a year, they can afford it.
Well, the Nomads at one point under Montboucher, who's now behind bars, his take was $100 million a year.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you do though if you're a club owner in Halifax or Moncton, gentlemen, and you get a knock on the door? The guy says, "Hi, how are you? We want a piece of your business. We want to be your partners." What do you do?
I'll let the professor answer that.
Stephen Schneider, what do you do?
Well, Alex hit the nail on the head. I mean, the Hells Angels use intimidation and the threat of violence like no other criminal group has in the past, and that's why they wear their colors. As he mentioned, there's numerous cases, one in Ontario where they showed up at an extortion victim's house wearing their colors, and they used that quite explicitly to be able to intimidate people. But the Hells Angels, I mean, they're, just to avoid your question just for 1 second, I mean, there's three significant implications of this, the Bacchus takeover. The first is the the Hells Angels need or desire to have a coast-to-coast national presence, and they did that initially by establishing chapters in Halifax, Montreal, and Vancouver, and it's no coincidence that these are three port cities. So they really desire to have this presence on Atlantic Canada. The second, as Alex mentioned, and as you mentioned, they're now moving towards using puppet clubs more than setting up Hells Angels chapters, and this is a trend. And you're probably not going to see any more new Hells Angels chapters in Canada. And the third is that Atlantic Canada now is seen as less controlled by Quebec. The Hells Angels are in Quebec, and they want Atlantic Canada to operate more autonomously, and that's why they want one group, the Bacchus group, to sort of control all of Atlantic Canada. And but to answer your question real quickly, they're not so much into extorting clubs and small business people. Really, their big money is in drugs, and that's why they want to be in Halifax and Atlantic Canada, because this is a major entry point for drugs into the country.
Bacchus is one of Canada's older biker clubs with long-time links to the Hells Angels, and its members have been arrested in raids involving the Angels. Let's talk about the Outlaws and the Rock Machine, who are competitor bike gangs, and this is one of the reasons we've seen a Hells Angels puppet club, Bacchus, rear its head because of competition from other biker communities. Alex Kane, you want to comment?
Well, we all remember, unfortunately, the biker war in Quebec, mainly Montreal, where 156 people ended up being killed, plus many, many more injured. But the point is, that was against a small group called the Rock Machine, who went for help to the Bandidos, who, of course, answered anything against the HA. And that stopped the war, per se. But unfortunately for the Bandidos, Operation Amigo cleaned them right off the Quebec map. And when they went to prison, they had to, they ran into the HA, which runs the federal institutions, the federal prisons, and the Angels gave them a choice. You either swear that you'll never be a Bandido again in Canada, or you're not going to make it out of here. And of course, it's not that they couldn't refuse, but they never said you could never go back to being a Rock Machine. And so all of a sudden, overnight, headed by a guy named Burrell from Manitoba, there was 100 Rock Machines. I think it's all Bandidos, but they're flying the flag. And it's the same as Bacchus is flying the HA.
But if they're already competing with Hells Angels, what difference does it make whether they're called Rock Machine or Bandidos? Why not just call themselves Bandidos, because they're still competing with the...
Because of the rest of the world. Okay? When the Quebec War stopped, it didn't die. I mean, they didn't become friends. The war went to Scandinavia and was just as messy in Scandinavian countries. In Australia right now, they're fighting. These two clubs are fighting. I mean, they're fighting all over the world. So any confrontation, any spark could start a world war amongst bikers, and that's really bad for business.
1-877-801-TALK, 405-6000. Carmen, do you want to speak to Alex Kane, Stephen Schneider, biker experts? Go ahead, Carmen.
Hi, good morning, gentlemen. I just have a quick question for you. My husband and I both belong to the Harley Owners Group. We both ride the Harley Owners Group, the HOG Group.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We both ride Harleys. Do we have anything to be worried about this, like belonging to another chapter of a different motorcycle group?
Now, if you're a hog rider,
yeah,
and you go to official runs, like, a camp out or a swap meet or, like a 500-mile run that does the poker cards and all that stuff.
Yes.
You're safe because they need your type of people to blend in with.
Oh.
To stake a claim with. We're just like them, but they're not like you. I mean, you don't carry a gun, do you?
No. Don't even own one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they will blend in with hog riders and say, yeah, hey, you know, you don't bother them. Why are you bothering us?
Yeah. So do we have anything to worry about? Like, are they going to try to, you know, cause a war with us or fight with us?
No, not a chance in the world. What they need you more than you need them, I tell you.
Okay.
What you have to avoid, and this is just from personal experience, I've been undercover with these guys for years and years. What you need to do is to, I'll just